My husband beat me to death. He'd gotten a paternity test that said our son wasn't his. But as he was about to throw the baby off the balcony, my mother-in-law fell to her knees, sobbing, "He's your brother. He's my son." My best friend showed up and helped him cover up my murder. Only then did I realize she and my mother-in-law had teamed up to switch my baby at birth. I was reborn the day before I was due to give birth. As I watched my husband peeling a pomegranate for me, a flash of pure hatred crossed my eyes. He was the one who killed me. Our relationship had been falling apart, and I wanted a divorce. But then he suddenly demanded a paternity test for our son. The results came back. The boy wasn't his. He came home, cornered me in the bedroom, and started beating me over the head with a stool. I fought back, but I was no match for a man his size. My mother-in-law sat on the floor and cried. My father-in-law, terrified of getting caught in the middle, just shut the door. After he beat me to death, he threw my body off the balcony to make it look like I'd jumped out of shame. Then he grabbed my son, his hands around the baby's neck, ready to toss him from the 16th floor. That's when my mother-in-law dropped to her knees. "Alex, that baby is your brother. He's my son." My best friend, who lived next door, showed up too. She helped Alex cover up the fact that he'd murdered me. My soul lingered in that apartment for 3 days, and I learned everything. It turned out my mother-in-law had given birth just 2 days before I did. No wonder she'd suddenly announced she was going back to the countryside a few months into my pregnancy. And she never once visited during my postpartum recovery. When I was in the hospital, she bribed a nurse. She and my best friend got rid of my newborn daughter and replaced her with her own son for me to raise. After I was dead, Alex went to my parents and demanded they return the dowry. He argued that we'd been married less than 2 years and the child wasn't his, so they should give all the money back. God, it was insane. The $40,000 dowry and the couple million from my own premarital assets had all been invested in his restaurant. My parents even gave me a condo worth $500,000 as a wedding gift, and his whole family moved in. At the time, I thought finding a soulmate was rare, and that we could always make more money, so I didn't hesitate to help him. My parents, not knowing the truth, used their retirement savings to pay him back. Even so, they were relentlessly cyberbullied and eventually died destitute on the street. Meanwhile, Alex and my best friend, Jessica, used me to the very end. Even in death, I was trashed online as a promiscuous cheater who deserved everything she got. His restaurant was flooded with supportive customers who pitied the poor man who married a tramp, raised a child that wasn't his, and still took care of the boy after she died. They praised his character. His business boomed. He ended up marrying Jessica, who by then had become a huge influencer. Their family got rich and lived happily ever after. That's how people on the internet are. A mob convinced of its own righteousness, their compassion easily weaponized. And in the midst of all that burning hatred, I was reborn the day before giving birth. I know I deserved to die for being so blinded by love. But my parents didn't deserve to be dragged through the mud because of me. None of this was my fault. And my daughter, the one I never got to meet, I failed her. But thank God, none of it has happened yet. I still have a chance to change everything. Looking at Alex now, I asked coldly, "Where's your mom?" He froze, surprised by the sudden iciness from his normally gentle wife. But he quickly dismissed it as a pregnancy mood swing. Still, he looked shifty when he mentioned his mother. "She went back to our hometown. You know, we've got those 2 sows to look after." Before I could say anything, he placed the bowl of pomegranate seeds in front of me. "I've got to head out. It's a networking dinner." I sneered internally. He knew his mom was pregnant. The whole family was in on it, hiding it from me. His mom wanted another child. The one-child policy was a thing of the past, so they figured why not. But they were afraid I wouldn't approve. I mean, who has an uncle born in the same month as his nephew? They also felt they were getting old, and worried no one would take care of their son if they passed away. Since the baby would have their last name, Miller, they figured they'd just let me raise him. And because I gave birth to a girl, they took it a step further and swapped the babies. They kept this part from Alex, which is why he ended up killing me. I forced myself to calm down, the memory of his fists and the searing pain filling me with rage. "This time, I will make them pay." Seeing my silence, he explained, "You know, the restaurant is just starting out. I need to build connections. If I don't go to these things, all your dowry money will go down the drain." I sat on the sofa and, hearing his words, put on a gentle voice. I need $10,000. He shot up from his seat. What do you need $10,000 for? I stared him down. I'm going to a postpartum center for my recovery. Your mom is nowhere to be found, and I'm already a day past my due date. Who's going to take care of me? All my money is tied up in your restaurant, so I have to ask you. Alex's face soured. Chloe, you know the restaurant is just getting started. We can't afford a $10,000 postpartum center right now. How about this? When you have our second kid, I promise I'll send you. For the first one, I'll take care of you. I'm a chef after all. I can make you all sorts of amazing recovery meals. A second kid. The hatred in my heart flared. As if I would ever have another child with this monster. In my last life, he also promised to cook for me, but he was always too busy at the restaurant. He never made me a single meal. He also hated having strangers in the house, so I couldn't even hire a postpartum nurse. I had to rely on a meal prep delivery service where they just cooked and left. Looking back, I was just so unbelievably stupid. I looked at him. Then call your mom and tell her to come back. Otherwise, I'll have to tell my parents the truth, that the dowry money is gone and now you can't even afford my postpartum care. Alex was a classic leech who married up, and he hated nothing more than my family looking down on him. The old me would have carefully protected his fragile ego. Now, I was going to stomp it into the ground. Chloe. The darkness in his eyes was barely concealed. I'll transfer it to you now. But the restaurant is going to have a hard time. You know this is my dream. I smiled sweetly. Then transfer the money. I'm booking it right now. There's only one suite left. Alex stared at my smile, fell silent for a moment, then pulled out his phone and sent me the 10,000. He stood up, his expression shifting. You get some rest today. I'm heading back to the restaurant. We have the district supervisor coming in for dinner tonight. I didn't even look at him, already on my phone booking the postpartum center. They would handle everything, my birth partner, a personal aide, and all the supplies for delivery. Normally, it would have been $8,000, but since I was booking for the very next day, there was a rush fee. I didn't feel a single pang of regret spending this money on myself. Stroking my belly, a warmth spread through me. Baby, your father is a piece of trash, but you're innocent. I will take care of you for the rest of my life. After booking the center, I called my parents and asked them to come to LA the next morning. I would only feel safe with them by my side. That evening, I ordered a private chef to come cook. It was my last big meal before giving birth, so I had him buy a ton of my favorite dishes. Before the chef arrived, however, someone else knocked on my door. I looked at the woman's face on the security monitor, and my vision went red with hatred. I wanted to kill her. My nails dug deep into my palms. I closed my eyes, took a breath, and composed myself. When I opened the door, Jessica threw her arms around me. Honey, I've missed you so much. Did you miss me? She leaned in to kiss my cheek, but I pushed her face away. She shrieked, Babe, you smudged my makeup. I felt a wave of disgust, but I knew it wasn't time to show my hand. In my last life, I learned she and Alex had started sleeping together just 2 months into my pregnancy. As a traditional woman, I believed right up until the day I died that I just wasn't good enough, that I'd somehow driven my husband away. How ridiculous that seems now. I looked at the foundation on my hand and sneezed. She realized she'd overreacted and quickly grabbed my hand. It's okay, it's okay. Guess what? I went to Starstruck Media today, and they're signing me tomorrow. They're going to manage my social accounts, and when I live stream, the company will even get top donors to send me gifts. She was beaming with confidence. Once I'm a top-tier influencer with millions of followers, I'll take you on a trip around the country. We won't bring Alex. He's so annoying, stealing my best friend from me. The old me would have hugged and comforted her, then rushed to her live stream to send gifts and boost her popularity. The new me just feigned exhaustion. I needed to catch them off guard to get proof of Alex's affair. They were so good at manipulating public opinion in my last life. This time, I was going to give them a taste of their own medicine. Chloe, what's wrong? She asked, a flicker of nervousness on her face when I didn't respond. I'm worried about the baby, I sighed. I'm a day past my due date and still no signs of labor. Jessica breathed a sigh of relief. Thank God she hadn't figured anything out. She linked her arm through mine. Don't worry, it's totally normal to be a few days late or early. And my mother-in-law is God knows where, I said, pulling my arm away and looking around the large, empty house. When I go into postpartum recovery, I won't have a single person to take care of me. I'm thinking about divorcing Alex. I was never treated this badly at home. We'd only been married a little over a year. At home, I was my parents' little princess. Here, I was trying to be like my mother, taking care of this whole family. How cheap, how stupid could I have been to end up on this path? Jessica grabbed my hand, a flicker of joy in her eyes. Well, if you get a divorce, that's fine, but the restaurant is starting to do well. You need to be clear about splitting the assets. Just as I was about to reply, there was a knock at the door. Jessica jumped up to get it. Is that him? Don't worry, I'll give him a piece of my mind for you. Jessica opened the door and saw a man holding several bags of groceries. She swallowed her words. You are? The man wore a mask, his sharp, handsome eyes framed by long lashes. The veins on the hand holding the bag stood out, and even through his white chef's uniform, you could see the defined shape of his chest muscles. His voice was deep and pleasant. Hello, I'm the private chef you booked. I called out from the living room. Come on in. I didn't expect it to be the same chef I used to book. The app assigns chefs randomly, and I remembered this guy was chef too. He gave a slight nod, slipped on shoe covers, and went into the kitchen. Jessica watched him go, then scurried over to sit beside me. Where did you find this hottie? I knew it. You totally have a guy on the side. I just didn't expect him to be this handsome. How long have you two been seeing each other? She was thrilled. If Chloe was cheating, she wouldn't get a dime in the divorce. You've never heard of Blue Sky Private Chefs? I asked, my tone laced with doubt. It's a company that exclusively hires veteran Army cooks for in-home services. Jessica's eyes stayed glued to the man in the kitchen. Oh, so he's not your side piece. I frowned. Jessica, could you show some respect? He's a veteran. That's a disgusting thing to say. Jessica was taken aback by my tone. She quickly grabbed my arm. Honey, I'm sorry, I just thought. Don't think. I pulled my arm away and went into my room. Once I was alone, I realized how stupid I was. I couldn't fake it. When I see my enemies, all I want to do is destroy them. I can't pretend anymore. But thinking of the baby in my belly, I knew I had to keep up the act. Just being near them made me sick. I grabbed a change of clothes and went back to the living room. Jessica was on the phone, her furtive glances telling me exactly who she was talking to. She hung up in a hurry. Chloe, don't be mad. It's my fault for not thinking before I speak. I'll slap myself. She theatrically patted her own cheek. I picked up my phone and sat on the sofa, dialing my mother-in-law. I needed to confirm where she was. As soon as she answered, I heard a baby crying in the background. I gripped my phone tighter, my eyes burning. It was my son, no, her son's cry. She quickly moved to the bathroom to muffle the sound. Hello, Chloe? What's up? Her voice was tense and a little weak. Pretending I knew nothing, I asked casually, Mom, where are you? She paused for 2 seconds, then laughed. I'm at your second aunt's house. Her daughter-in-law just had a big baby boy. Your Auntie Lee fell while chopping firewood and broke her leg, so she couldn't help out. I'm just giving her a hand. That's why you hear a baby crying. I had to admit, the lie was seamless. Oh. I glanced at Jessica, who was smiling at me as if she was in on the joke. I've already booked a postpartum center, so you can just stay there and take care of someone else's daughter-in-law. I hung up. The call was just a test to see Jessica's reaction. So everyone in this family except me and Alex knew his mother had a baby. They probably kept it from Alex because they were afraid he wouldn't want to raise his own little brother. Everyone knew he could be ruthless when he wanted to. Jessica sat down next to me. Chloe, don't be sad. Mrs. Miller grew up in the country. She probably can't let go of village matters. Anyway, you've already booked the postpartum center, so don't let it get you down. I poured a cup of tea. I know, it's just a little upsetting. Jessica put her phone on the table and linked her arm through mine affectionately. It's okay, you've still got me, right? But her eyes held a cold sneer. Why should you have everything good in this world? We grew up together. Your parents were well-connected government officials, mine just owned a little convenience store. After my parents died, you said you were my best friend in the whole world, but you never asked your parents to adopt me. Because of that, I had to drop out before finishing middle school and go work in a factory. You, Chloe Miller, are the fakest woman on the planet. I reached for my cup, but she suddenly dug her nails into my arm, causing me to yelp and knock over the teapot. Hot tea poured directly into her phone's charging port, and the phone tumbled from the high table onto the marble floor. Ah! The scalding tea splashed onto her leg. I cried out too. Why did you pinch me? Jessica's leg was already turning red from the burn. The chef in the kitchen heard the commotion and rushed out. He looked straight at me. Are you burned? I shook my head. Jessica ran into the bathroom to douse her leg with cold water. He nodded, then went back into the kitchen, completely ignoring the person who was actually burned. I was a little surprised by the look in his eyes just now, as if we'd known each other for a long time. I looked at Jessica's phone. The screen was shattered, and it was completely dead. When she came out, her eyes were bloodshot. It hurt so much, it's already blistering. Looking at her red leg, the old me would have felt terrible and sent her 500 to make her feel better. Now I just picked up the phone from the floor. This is all your fault. Why did you pinch me for no reason? Look, I still have nail marks on my arm. Jessica's face darkened. Had she really been that lost in her hatred for me? She forced a smile, but it faltered when she saw her broken phone. My new phone. She snatched it from me and, seeing it wouldn't turn on, stomped her foot in frustration. I just spent over $1,000 on this. I've only had it for a few days, and I haven't even backed up my files. She was getting frantic. The contract is in there. I need it first thing tomorrow morning. There were no stores open to buy a new phone now, and she wouldn't be able to get one early tomorrow either. She was supposed to sign with a major platform at 7 a.m. I didn't know what contract it was, but the more anxious she got, the happier I felt. I have a computer. I can back up the file and print it out for you. You can just take the hard copy tomorrow. I stood up. And I think Alex has an old phone you can use. Just put your SIM card in it. She visibly relaxed. Oh, that's great. Thank you, sweetie. I took her phone. Give it to me, I'll back it up. She was about to hand it over but hesitated, her expression stiffening. The file is in the phone's internal storage. Your phone is broken. You can't open Messenger or any other apps. I can only access the storage space. Don't worry, I won't be able to see any of your private stuff. It's not like you have anything to hide from me. Unless, I looked her up and down with a playful smile. You got a new boyfriend you don't want me to know about? Jessica relaxed a bit, laughed, and handed me the phone. No boyfriend. The one thing my agency is strict about is relationships. They said I have a great look and they're planning to groom me for movies, so no dating allowed. Since she was about to sign, she had to follow the rules. The penalty for breach of contract was tens of millions. Jessica racked her brain. She'd only had the phone for a short time, there shouldn't be anything incriminating on it. Tomorrow's contract was urgent, so she could only look at me pleadingly. Well, thank you then. I glanced at her leg. There's a pharmacy downstairs. You should go get some burn cream. You have such beautiful legs, it would be a shame to have a scar. Remembering she had a photo shoot tomorrow, she nodded quickly. Okay, I'll go buy some now. After she left, I went into the adjacent gaming room. Inside were two top-of-the-line gaming PCs, their keyboards already gathering dust. Alex and I met playing a fantasy MMO. I was a homebody who loved gaming and had spent a small fortune on it since college. But I could also make money from it. I was an official content creator for the game, writing strategy guides. And since I studied computer science, programming and game development were second nature to me. I'd developed a few viral TikTok minigames that made a good amount of money. Alex was just a low-level grunt in our guild. During his first guild war, he had the lowest damage output and got chewed out by the guild leader. Since we won anyway, I said a few words in his defense. It was just a game, no need to be so harsh. He added me as a friend to say thanks, and maybe because I was bored, I started chatting with him. Later, we met in person. He was handsome and would blush whenever he talked to me. Maybe I'd had enough of the good life, so I went and found myself a piece of crap. After we got together, I was full of dreams for our future. The first was this gaming room. We would game together, fight guild wars together. But after we got married, he was always busy. And with my heart completely focused on him, I stopped pursuing my own career. Now the minigame trend has passed. I hadn't figured out what to do next, which made me anxious. I started pinching pennies, no longer splurging on in-game purchases. I even switched from La Mer to Lancome. Really, sometimes I wonder what I was even thinking. For a fool like me to get a second chance at life, fate was truly too kind. I took her SIM card out and put it into the spare phone next to me. I got the verification code and restored her chat history. Then I started backing up the phone's contents. Just as the backup started, there was a knock on the door. I went out and took a $20 bill from a drawer. Everyone uses digital payments now. She'd get downstairs and realize she had no cash. I had anticipated this. I opened the door. Her face was flushed. No phone, no cash. They wouldn't sell it to me. I handed her the 20. I was about to call you back, but you ran off too fast. She looked at me. How's the phone? I shook my head. Still working on it. Because it was dropped, it'll probably take another 20 minutes to load. I don't know which folder you saved it in. Go buy the cream and we can look for it together when you get back. Okay. She immediately ran off again. Watching her hurried back, I thought she really is an idiot. She never cared about school, didn't even finish middle school. So easy to fool. If it weren't for the plastic surgery, she'd never have made it in the influencer game. I closed the door. As I passed the kitchen, I saw the chef, wearing an apron, chopping vegetables. I went back to the gaming room. The backup was complete. An idiot like Jessica would never know that her new phone could restore the chat history from her previous one. Looking at her chat history with Alex, my fists clenched. I called Jessica an idiot, but I forgot about myself. I was the biggest idiot of all. There's a quote that's gone viral recently. Don't blame your past self. Standing in the fog. She was just as lost as you are. So everyone does stupid things, they just don't want to admit it. After the backup finished, I put her SIM card back in her broken phone. Just as I finished, she came back and knocked. Everything was going according to plan. When a woman stops loving you, she becomes calm and clever. But as long as she loves you, she'll convince herself to accept everything about you, including your mistakes. And right now, all I felt for Alex's family and Jessica was hatred and disgust. Jessica eagerly followed me into the gaming room. When she saw that the screen only showed the file directory, she let out a sigh of relief and finally applied the burn cream. Is this the file? Yes, that's the one. The company's receptionist saved it for me. It's called WSSB. I glanced at it and printed it out. I had a printer right here. She looked at the printed document and finally smiled. This is great. I said to her, Alex took his spare phone with him. You can sleep here tonight. I'll have him bring the phone for you. Otherwise, you won't even be able to get a ride tomorrow. She nodded. It's a good thing I have you. Then she added apologetically, my nails were just bothering me earlier. That's why I accidentally pinched you. It's fine. I waved it off. Dinner's almost ready, let's go eat. I shut down the computer. She glanced at it, then followed me out of the room. Sitting on the sofa, she chattered on about influencer gossip. I used to find it interesting, but now it just bored me. When the meal was ready, the chef prepared to leave. He looked at the two of us, as if wanting to say something, but in the end, he just took the kitchen trash and left. This handsome chef's cooking is amazing. Jessica looked utterly satisfied. Send me his contact info. I'll book him to cook for me too. I just smiled and said nothing. After dinner, Jessica sat in the living room watching TV. Without her phone, she was bored. I checked the time, then went into the bedroom, saying I was going to take a shower. A moment after I closed the door, I heard voices from the living room. Jessica's here? It was Alex's voice. She replied with a pout, but her tone was flirtatious. Yeah. What? You're not happy to see me. I'll tell Chloe to punish you. Alex laughed. I wouldn't dare. You two are closer than we are. Listening from the bedroom, I felt sick to my stomach. Jessica always acted like she despised Alex, so I never imagined she'd go after my husband. I never thought I was just a part of their little game. I pushed the door open and walked out. Jessica immediately started tattling on him. Babe, Alex is complaining about me staying over again. Go on, yell at him. Alex was all smiles, looking innocent. I did not. You two best friends haven't seen each other in half a month. I wouldn't dream of interrupting. He shrugged and looked at me. I'm going to take a shower, my queen. You must be tired, honey. I forced myself to get close and give him a little nuzzle. As expected, Alex's body stiffened, and Jessica's smile froze. I felt the baby kick, as if she too was disgusted by her father's proximity. Alex forced a smile and went into the bedroom. I sat on the sofa, and Jessica suddenly stood up. Babe, I learned a new trick for sleeping well when I was abroad. You drink a glass of hot milk before bed. I'll go heat some up for you. Before I could refuse, she had already run into the kitchen. I raised an eyebrow. This didn't happen in my last life. An idea struck me. I placed a black vase with fake roses in it next to a potted plant. Jessica came out with the milk. You have to drink this. You have insomnia all the time, and this really helps. I nodded. Thank you, Jessica. Without you, I don't know how I'd manage my anxiety. In the few hours since seeing them, I had managed to get my composure back. Jessica leaned against me. You're my best friend. I'm so happy I can help you. Just then Alex called my name from inside. Chloe, we're out of body wash and shampoo. Can you bring me some? I clutched my stomach, my face pale. I feel a cramp coming on. Jessica, can you please take the body wash and shampoo to Alex? Me. Jessica looked me over. Seeing that my pained expression wasn't fake, she said, I hate him so much. And you want me to bring it to him? She looked annoyed but stood up anyway. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even look at a guy like him on the street. She went into the guest bathroom, got the toiletries, and walked into the master bedroom. As soon as she entered, the bedroom door clicked shut. I poured the milk into the black vase. This would be useful later. I dabbed a drop on the corner of my mouth and picked up a newspaper to read. Jessica came out a while later, her face flushed and her lips slightly swollen. I saw you got a few new LV bags in your walk-in closet, so I took a longer look. When did you buy those? I didn't answer her question. Instead, I looked at her mouth. Your lipstick is smudged. She tensed up, then rubbed her lips. Probably a mango allergy. You finished the milk? I'm going to take a shower too. I have to go sign that contract tomorrow, so you should get to bed early. She hurried into the guest bedroom. I just smiled and walked back into my room. The man inside was just stepping out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around his waist, a blissful smile on his face. Seeing me, his smile froze. I lay down on the bed. Jessica's milk really works. I drank it and now I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed. I turned off the bedside lamp and feigned sleep. Good night, honey. He turned off his lamp too and lay down beside me. After a while, certain I was asleep, he got up and left. The moment he was gone, my eyes snapped open. I tiptoed to the bathroom and retrieved the spare phone from a corner. It had a video on it. Since I was reborn so suddenly, I didn't have time to set up a proper camera. It showed Jessica bringing in the toiletries, only to be pulled into the bathroom by Alex and pressed against the wall for a passionate kiss. The sight of it made me sick. I opened the bedroom door. The living room lights were all off, but a sliver of light shone from under the guest room door. I walked over and heard the sounds of a man and a woman. They were so engrossed I was able to quietly open the door without them noticing. They were by the window, their backs to me. I silently recorded a video, catching their conversation. Jessica asked, "Am I prettier, or is your wife prettier?" Alex replied, "A woman with zero passion like her can't compare to you. You're the real siren." Jessica added, "She had another man over today. I think there's something going on between them." Alex's voice was vicious. "As soon as she has the baby, I'm getting a paternity test." Alex only lasted a few minutes, so I closed the door just in time. Back in my bedroom, I stared at the ceiling, wondering what kind of fool I was in my last life. The signs were all there, but I chose to ignore them. Those two, carrying on like that while I was pregnant, shameless. Disgusting. I tried to suppress my anger, but it was affecting the baby. She seemed to be angry too. Suddenly, I felt my water break. I was going into labor earlier than last time, but I didn't panic. I called my parents. They said their train tickets were for 6 a.m. the next morning, and they'd arrive around 8 a.m. Last time, I gave birth around 10 a.m., so their timing would have been perfect. But this time was different. I told them not to rush, that I probably wouldn't give birth until morning anyway. They had already worried too much for me. I called the postpartum center, but they said my booking was for tomorrow, no one could come today. Being such a homebody, I didn't have many friends. For a moment, I started to panic. Then I saw the recent Venmo transfer on my phone. The recipient had just accepted the money. I immediately called him. "Hello, Ms. Miller, is there a problem with today's meal?" Before he could finish, I cut him off. "I'll give you $1,000. I need you to do me a favor." His tone was robotic. Ms. Miller, my services have a set price. I don't accept extra payment from clients. I blurted out, just mix my baby's formula for one day. He was silent for a few seconds. You were reborn too? I was stunned. Then I heard him sigh. It seems so. You know your child was swapped, and you know what you're facing, right? I can help you, no charge. It's First General Hospital, right? I'm on my way. My head was spinning. He was reborn too, and he knew everything about my situation. Before I could think anymore, a sharp pain brought me back to reality. I grabbed my phone and struggled to my feet. I turned on the living room lights and knocked on Jessica's door. Jessica, Alex is gone, and I think I'm going into labor. The two inside nearly jumped out of their skin. Jessica scrambled to get dressed, her legs so weak she stumbled and fell. She grimaced in pain as Alex urged her to answer the door, terrified I would come in. Jessica rushed to lock the door. I just woke up. Give me a minute. Alex probably went to the bathroom, check around for him. I had no intention of opening the door. I knew how vicious those two could be. If I caught them in the act, they might just kill me right then and there. They could stage it as an accident during childbirth. I couldn't risk it. It hurts too much. I can't get up off the floor, I moaned, pretending I couldn't open the door. The two inside breathed a sigh of relief. Right now, they couldn't care less about my well-being, they were only worried about their affair being exposed. I managed to get myself to the sofa. Scaring that cheating pair made me feel a lot better, even the pain seemed to lessen. Jessica came out first, her face still flushed. She glanced behind her, then helped me up. Come on, let's get to the hospital. Alex must have had to step out for something important. Okay. We left, and only then did Alex emerge from the room. He looked around the house. He hadn't gotten his hands on the property yet. She used to be so wealthy. She must have more savings. He couldn't let his cover be blown before he got all of it. When we got to the hospital, Jessica bustled around, handling the admission paperwork. The two of them had been so busy with their emotional exchange that Alex still remembered to give her his spare phone. She called him and cooked up an alibi. She told me, the restaurant is just so busy. He said a rat got in late at night, and he had to go check. He's so focused on his career he forgets about his own wife. I'm never marrying a man like that. A wife should always come first, right? When he gets here, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. She held up her phone. I'm going to step out and call my boss, see if I can come in later tomorrow. Nothing is more important than you. Then she walked out. She went to the elevator bank and called my mother-in-law. Auntie, she's about to give birth. You can bring the baby over. I've already taken care of the nurse, don't worry. Thank you so much, Jessica. I wish you were my daughter-in-law. Jessica's heart swelled with pleasure. Aside from being born rich, what did Chloe have that she didn't? She returned to the room. The doctor said I had to be 3 centimeters dilated to go to the delivery room. I was already at 2. The pain made my face pale. Luckily, I had eaten and used the bathroom before coming, or I would have had no energy during labor, and might have made a fool of myself. Jessica had just walked in when a man followed her. He was tall, dressed in a technical jacket, and a mask made him look unapproachable. You. Jessica recognized him. It was the chef. I looked at Leo, and the tight knot of tension inside me finally loosened. I said to him, when I go into the delivery room, please remember to feed my baby her formula. He nodded. It's my job. Mixing formula and cooking were both about feeding people. Close enough. Jessica eyed us suspiciously, but just then a nurse pushed the door open. She checked me and said, you can go to the delivery room now. I was nervous. Even though I'd been through this once before, the pain was still branded in my memory. I grabbed Leo's hand. Thank you. He nodded. Don't worry. I'll take good care of her. As I was being wheeled into the delivery room, Alex finally rushed in, carrying bags of supplies. Jessica, however, was focused on Leo, explaining that he was someone I'd hired to help with the baby. The postpartum center has male staff? Alex was surprised. Jessica replied pointedly, he's a private chef. He and Chloe are very close. Alex's expression changed. He lunged forward and grabbed Leo by the collar. Are you my wife's lover? Leo was powerfully built, an ex-military man. Alex was no match for him. With a quick move, Leo had him pinned against the wall, his voice icy. We're just friends. She's like a big sister to me. Unlike you, you animal, cheating on your wife while she's pregnant. Alex and Jessica both panicked. They never thought a stranger would discover their secret. What about Chloe? Did she know? Alex struggled against his grip, resorting to threats. You're lying. I can sue you for slander. Leo released him and straightened his own shirt. You know what you did? A piercing scream came from the delivery room. Jessica sat down on a bench, her heart pounding. Alex was about to yell at Leo again, but his phone rang. It was his mother, sobbing hysterically. Son, your father was in a car accident on the freeway. Come quick. They're saying we have to pay $30,000. Alex was shocked. Aren't you two back in the countryside? She was still crying. I was just thinking your wife was about to give birth, so I rushed back to help. Who knew we'd get into an accident? Thinking of his father, Alex could only look at Jessica. You stay here and look after Chloe. My dad's been in an accident. I have to go. Okay. Jessica was more than happy for him to leave. Otherwise, he'd find out his baby was a girl, and it would be harder to swap them. Her plan all along was to win over Alex's mother. It was also to make Alex divorce Chloe and, more importantly, to make Chloe suffer. Losing her own child, raising someone else's. Ha ha ha, as long as Chloe was in pain, she was happy. With Alex gone, she needed to get rid of Leo. She poured a glass of water and handed it to him. I don't know what your relationship with Chloe is, but thank you. Have some water. She accidentally spilled the water toward his pants, but Leo dodged it easily. The water ended up splashing all over her own pants instead. What is wrong with you? I was nice enough to get you water, and you throw it on me, Jessica shrieked, glaring at him. Leo's voice was flat. You poured the water. I find it dirty. It's fitting that something dirty ended up on you. Jessica gritted her teeth but couldn't leave. She had to sit there on the bench with her soaking pants. When Alex's mom, Mrs. Miller, arrived with the baby, she saw the tall man but paid him no mind, assuming he was waiting for someone else. Jessica, has the baby been born yet? Jessica pulled her aside into the hallway, and they whispered for a moment. Hearing her description, Mrs. Miller was furious. That little bitch dares to cheat on my son. I'll kill her. Jessica said, don't be hasty. Wait until she's given you all her money to raise your son. Then you can expose her. She won't get a single penny. Mrs. Miller looked at her with satisfaction. You're so clever, Jessica. Jessica thought for a moment. The only problem now is how to get rid of that man. We can't swap the babies with him here. Let's go find hospital security. But before they could finish their plan, they heard a nurse from the delivery room calling for Chloe Miller's family. They rushed back out. The nurse holding the baby was the one they'd bribed. She walked toward them with the baby. The mother gave birth to a son. Everyone in the hallway heard it. A son. Mrs. Miller and Jessica moved to take the baby, planning to switch it with the one Mrs. Miller was holding. The swaddling cloths were identical. However, Leo stepped in front of the nurse. I'm Chloe Miller's brother. She had an ultrasound. It was a girl. How did it suddenly become a boy? His voice was loud. There was more than one nurse in the delivery room, including the head of the department, and even the woman in the next bed who had just given birth. Even if that mother had passed out, everyone else knew a baby girl had been delivered. Last time, they got away with it. This time it wouldn't be so easy. Chloe Miller is my daughter-in-law. I know perfectly well whether she has a brother. You must be her secret lover. Ignoring their slander, Leo took the baby from the nurse and held her in his arms. He looked toward the end of the hall. Ma'am, how long are you going to stand there and watch? At that, several people emerged from around the corner. The nurse, Shaoli, froze when she saw them. It was the hospital director. The director's face was stern. She looked at the nurse. This hospital will be pursuing legal action against you. The heads of the obstetrics department also looked grim. They couldn't believe something like this, swapping a baby, had happened in their hospital. Everyone else in the hallway was stunned. What was going on? Jessica and Mrs. Miller were dumbfounded. They never imagined this guy knew the hospital director, and even called her ma'am. The director glanced at the baby. It is indeed a girl. Dr. He, you go with Leo and make sure the baby gets fed. I'll handle things here. All right. Leo left with the head of obstetrics. He had arrived at the hospital early and gone straight to find his old squad leader's wife. Back when he was a new recruit, his squad leader had been a man of integrity, and his wife was no different, a career-driven woman, decisive and efficient. Jessica and Mrs. Miller were mortified as people pointed and whispered. They tried to slip away, but the nurse, Showley, sold them out. Director, it was Chloe Miller's mother-in-law who wanted to swap the baby. It has nothing to do with me. I just misspoke about the gender. She knew if the director pressed charges, she'd face a huge fine and her career would be over. She never should have agreed to help Jessica. She'd done this horrible thing for a measly $500. The director's eyes were cold. You didn't take any money? Showley fell silent, dropping to her knees and begging the director not to sue. The director had already called security. As for Jessica and Mrs. Miller, the director couldn't do much about them. That was up to the mother herself. She just hadn't expected Leo to call her here for a new mother. Could that kid be? Unlikely. She'd introduced him to so many beautiful women, and he'd turned them all down. The director shook her head and went into the delivery room. When I woke up, it was all over. Leo was standing by the window, holding my baby and whispering to her. I faintly heard him say in our last life, I couldn't save you. This time, I could finally help. You need to grow up happy. Your mother has suffered too much. Leo, thank you. Hearing my voice, Leo walked over with the baby. He looked at me. Jessica went to her company. Your mother-in-law and Alex are arguing outside. He filled me in. Yesterday, to get Alex out of the house, Mrs. Miller had his father deliberately crash into another car. They'd picked a car that looked unfamiliar, thinking it wouldn't be expensive to repair, maybe a few thousand. It turned out to be a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, with damages over $30,000. Alex was in a panic. His parents, convinced nothing bad would ever happen, had no insurance. The cost was astronomical. He was thinking of asking me for the money. The police came, and in the end, the wealthy owner didn't even care about lost wages, so they only had to pay for repairs. Then he came to the hospital, only to walk into this mess. He found out his mother had given birth to his baby brother 7 days ago, and he nearly coughed up blood from the shock. Hearing all this made me feel fantastic, and even more grateful to him. But Leo looked at me and said, I'm the one who should be thanking you. I was confused. Why? You've probably forgotten me, but I've never forgotten you. When I was 17, my parents died, and my 10-year-old sister went missing. I was kneeling at the entrance to Grand Central Station, just begging for enough money to eat. He stared at me. You gave me $200. You bought me a bowl of noodles and told me not to give up on life. You asked me about my sister and posted her information online for me. I was astonished that he remembered. That was 12 years ago. I had almost forgotten. I had just finished my college entrance exams and was traveling. I'd earned my first pot of gold as a freelance game coach and wanted to do something good for my karma, hoping for more good fortune. I saw a boy my age kneeling ramrod straight and felt a pang of sympathy. Many people told me I'd been scammed, but I didn't care. I even posted his sister's photo and information in our gaming guild chat, and people shared it widely. I never found out if she was found. Over time, I started to think I probably had been scammed, so I let it go. I never imagined that one small act would become my lifeline in this life. He took off his mask. Yet 12 years. With the money you gave me, I enlisted in the army. After 11 years, I came back and started this private chef business, hoping to find you and my sister. I looked at him. Did you find your sister? He nodded. I did. I visit her on Memorial Day every year. His sister had passed away. Then what did you mean about being reborn too? I asked. He explained slowly, in our last life, you also hired me as a private chef often. By then, I was sure you were my benefactor. Then I saw the news that you had jumped from your building, and I learned about what happened to your family. Before that, a friend from my unit found a little girl, barely alive, in a dumpster. It was too cold that winter and he couldn't save her. It was only today, when I saw her, that I realized she was your daughter. I wanted to help you find justice. I woke up one morning, saw the money you transferred, and your request to help care for your child. I knew then that you must have been reborn too. I was so happy that we had a chance to do it all over again. I looked at him. I'm happy to. Watching the sky slowly brighten outside, I told him, I need you to do something for me. I'll send you all the videos. Also, there's a black vase on the table in my house with milk in it. I need you to get the contents tested. And my computer has some backed up chat logs. I told him my entire plan. I couldn't wait. I wanted to destroy that disgusting pair while I was still in postpartum recovery, while I was still seen as a vulnerable victim. I wanted them to be destroyed by the court of public opinion, to taste what it was like to be mobbed online. Leo nodded. Okay. He handed the baby back to me but paused at the door. You know, you're actually pretty smart, sis. He chuckled and left the hospital. I pouted. What? Just because I gave a stranger a pile of money 12 years ago and fell for a pig of a man 12 years later? That means I'm not smart? I just always believed that living a little more naively, a little more forgetfully, not sweating the small stuff, would make for a happier life. But I've learned that if you act like that all the time, people will think you're an idiot and walk all over you. Alex's family walked in. Mrs. Miller was still holding her baby. I glanced at the child I had once raised as my own son, who after my death treated his stepmother Jessica better than he ever treated me. I felt no love for him now. Alex looked at me. Chloe, my mom had a baby. Think of him as a big brother for Zoe. Don't be mad about it. Mrs. Miller sidled up, smiling. That's right, Chloe. Now Zoe will have a big brother to protect her. Brother? I laughed coldly. The family tree is a little messed up, don't you think? They looked awkward. That's right. Technically, he should be called uncle. An uncle born in the same month as her? Zoe's not that lucky. I looked at Alex. Let's get a divorce. My parents will be here soon. I'd rather we not make this ugly. I had married him against my parents' wishes, and he had promised them he wouldn't let them down. Now look at this. I didn't care about saving face anymore, I just wanted to protect myself and my daughter. He suddenly stood up and pointed at me furiously. You want to divorce me just because my mom had a baby? Chloe, you are being completely unreasonable. Just then the door opened, and a middle-aged man and woman walked in. It was my parents. Seeing them again in this life, my eyes stung, and I fought back tears. Chloe, what's going on? My father's hair was graying at the temples. He looked at me, then at the tense faces in the room. My mother ignored the others completely. She put down her bags and started talking to me. I bought some new clothes for the baby. She came over and held the baby, her eyes full of love. She looks just like you when you were little. The baby reached out for her and smiled. My mother was smitten. Good girl, Zoe. Happy to see your grandma, aren't you? Seeing the baby so young, bond so quickly with her grandmother, Mrs. Miller's eyes filled with hatred. She knew her in-laws had always looked down on them, so she didn't bother speaking to them. Whose baby is that? My dad asked, noticing the child in my mother-in-law's arms. I answered directly, my mother-in-law's. She just had him a few days ago. My parents were stunned. They looked at Alex's family with pure anger. You people have no shame. With my parents here, I didn't need to pretend anymore. Dad, I want to divorce Alex. Every extra day I had to act around his family felt disgusting. My parents said in unison, divorce him. I was so moved. That's right. It was broad daylight, my father was here, and I had to be strong for my daughter. My father-in-law tried to mediate. My dear in-laws, let's talk about this. If the kids don't want to take care of us, we can go back to the countryside ourselves. But this child has been born. He's a Miller. We can't just abandon him. My dad shot back. Did you consult my daughter before you had this child? My mother-in-law was indignant. Well, she wouldn't have agreed. I finally have a son in my old age, and she just gave birth to a good-for-nothing girl. My mom lunged at her and started hitting her. You're the good-for-nothing. You old hag, you're the good-for-nothing. My daughter and my granddaughter are not. Aw. The scene devolved into chaos. In the midst of it, Alex walked over, plucked a hair from my daughter's head, and quickly left. He was deeply suspicious today. That man helping her with the baby, cooking for her in our home, Jessica said they'd been close for a long time. He suspected the child wasn't his. If she cheated, he would make her suffer a fate worse than death. My daughter started wailing. My mom rushed to comfort her, and when Mrs. Miller tried to intervene, my dad kicked her away. My dad had taken up weightlifting and gymnastics in the park after retiring. He was surprisingly strong. Finally, hospital staff came in and made Alex's family leave, and things calmed down. I told my parents I'd had a dream and told them about Alex's affair, explaining that I had all the proof. My mom wept, heartbroken that I had suffered so much. The next time the Millers returned to my hospital room, I was already gone, checked into the postpartum center. I stayed at the center for 3 days. The Millers never came. Alex was still waiting for the paternity test results, convinced the baby wasn't his. Jessica tried to visit, but she was turned away at the door and never saw me. Leo had gone to my house that day, got the drugged milk tested, and organized all the evidence. He came to the postpartum center and sat across from me. "Chloe, what's your plan?" Without hesitation, I hired an expensive lawyer. "I'm taking them straight to court." I couldn't wait. Every extra day felt disgusting. The things they did to me in my last life hadn't happened yet in this one, but that didn't mean they wouldn't. I wasn't going to get a third chance. I wanted to use my position as a vulnerable, postpartum mother to have them torn apart online. Let them see what it feels like to be the target of a witch hunt. When the story of Alex and Jessica broke, the internet exploded. Jessica had just signed with a major agency, and her live streams over the past 3 days had raked in hundreds of thousands. People loved the cheerful, beautiful girl. They never expected her to be the type to ask in bed, "Am I prettier than your wife?" She was now facing a massive breach of contract penalty. Alex's paternity test results also came back. He came looking for me, but I refused to see him. Zoe was indeed his biological daughter. But I had never changed my official residence, so I registered my daughter under my family's household. Alex's restaurant was boycotted. Women all over the internet empathized with my story and came to my defense. Give the woman her money back. Leech. A whole family of vampires. Her best friend drugged a pregnant woman with sleeping pills? Are you even human? This is why influencers should be banned. Any piece of trash can get rich. What kind of values are you teaching kids? To all the sisters who say you don't need a dowry, how's that working out for you? I see people blaming Chloe. So in this day and age, being sincere gets you betrayed, and trying to build a better family makes you stupid. Wake up, sisters. Other women are warning you with their lives. This is why the dowry money is for the woman to keep for herself, to use when she needs it. If you invested in a man, he'll think you're worthless and treat you even worse. I'll say it again, sisters, do not marry down. Don't do it. Let these leeches rot. This whole family is terrifying. The mother-in-law is that old and has a baby for her daughter-in-law to raise? When you die, your youngest son will still be in high school, and your daughter-in-law will have to take care of him. What a brilliant plan. There's no hiding for scumbags and home wreckers. With everyone's help, I won the case. In court, Alex admitted to the affair. Of course, with the chat logs and videos I had, he had no choice. I was granted full custody of our daughter, and he was left with nothing. I was wondering why he agreed so readily when, outside the courthouse, he looked at me and said, "I'm sorry. I was too extreme in my last life." I looked at him, pretending I didn't understand, as if trash like him deserved to be reborn. Jessica stared at me. "When did you find out? I don't believe you knew I put sleeping pills in your milk." I couldn't be bothered with her. Even though they were now disgraced, I wasn't finished. Leo had discovered that Alex had recently received a large sum of money. He'd even paid off the car accident damages in one lump sum. Leo had his military contacts look into it and found out that Alex had gotten involved with a group selling drugs. He had an escape route planned, but Leo was reborn too, and he knew just how to intercept him. Alex ended up in prison and was sentenced to death. Leo told me that Jessica, owing tens of millions, was forced into sex work to pay off her debts. Eventually, her agency sold her off to a crime syndicate in Southeast Asia, and she was never heard from again. I moved back in with my parents and watched my daughter grow up, feeling incredibly lucky. What goes around comes around. My past kindness led to Leo's help. Thank God I was given a second chance, when there was still time to fix everything. To think I lost to those two in my last life, so stupid. This life is for making money, raising my daughter, and taking care of my parents. One night, as I was about to fall asleep, I heard a little girl's voice. "Sigh, Mom's not a complete idiot, but Uncle Leo is still the smartest. I can finally grow up normally in this life. Family, am I right?" As a time-space manager, I actually froze to death in my last life. Good thing I arranged for Mom to be reborn, and Uncle Leo too. As for that monster of a father, in the last life, he was 60 before he got caught for beating Mom to death. He was in jail for a few days before someone beat him to death. I let him be reborn just so he could experience the pleasure of getting beaten up in prison at a young age. I won't let him die. He needs to get beaten for a few more years. As for my grandparents, they went back to the countryside. The baby they secretly had died before he was 3 months old because they didn't get him vaccinated. And as for Jessica, well, she's not far from death's door either.